So the first book that I read this month was Such a Good Mother. So I listened to this as an audiobook and I already started this on the 26th of December. I started this during my readathon. Go check that out. But the thing is that I didn't really, I don't want to say it fell flat for me because it wasn't necessarily that, it just wasn't what I was expecting, because it's about this woman, and she wants everything for her son, and she gets invited to the circle, which is basically this is very prestigious school, and the circle is like a group of moms. There's basically this main mom, and everything goes wrong, and it's fucking manipulation to the max, okay? And it says, yeah, she's invited to the circle, an elite clique of beautiful, wealthy, and influential school moms. It seems her dreams are about to come true, for these are no ordinary women, and their connections will open doors Rose never knew existed. There's a powerful queen bee, the social media star, the secret alcoholic, the serial cheater, and there's the one who turns up dead. So I thought it was going to be a lot of dead people. I thought there was going to be killing. I thought the book would end differently. And the book ended kind of in a way that I thought it would. It was just very anticlimactic in a way. While I was reading this, during the duration that I was listening to this, I did think a lot about the characters, and I did kind of want to know what was gonna happen next. But in the beginning I was also really confused on who everyone is. I think with audiobooks I'll always be confused on who everyone is. I gave this a 3-star. It just wasn't my favorite. Would I recommend it? Maybe if this is really into your thing. I think this wasn't I wasn't the target audience for this book. Thank you to the sponsor of today, which is Hey Happiness. Hey Happiness sent me a few of their pieces for me to try and to show you, and I'm obsessed with them. I already collaborated with Hey Happiness before, and I'm actually currently wearing the earrings that I got from them because their products are actually so good and they're so long lasting and I love them. So here we have the little package. So we're gonna unbox. The products come in this adorable little package, and I'm pretty sure they use a lot of sustainability and sustainable packaging. So first I got these adorable little earrings, and I also got the star bracelet along with this bracelet that has an S, and I also got a matching charm with an N, since these are me and my boyfriend's initials. So these are the bracelets. You have the 2 initials here. She's really cute. I do have extremely small wrists, so that's why they're big. These are the earrings. So these are also from Hey Happiness. I will include the link, but I just think they're super cute. I love them. And I do have a discount code, so you guys can get 10% off if you use this code, and I will also have a link in the description, including with all the links of all the product. And again, thank you so much Hey Happiness for sponsoring today's video. The next book that I read in January is Fourth Wing. And again, I have a reading vlog of this because I was late to the trend, so I felt like I had to capture my reactions. I don't want to say too much about this book because I don't want to with all the stuff that's going on. I don't want to talk too much about it, but anyway, I give it 5 stars. There is a reading vlog. I'll just read what I said here. I adored this book. At the start I struggled with the chapters because they were so long, but when I got more into the story and attached to the characters, I flew through it. The ending did 100% shock me, and I really hope I love Iron Flame just as much. There are quite a few books that I don't have physically that I did read physically because whenever my mom goes to Germany to visit my grandma, we kind of sometimes she'll give me a book that she wants me to read, and I'll often give her a small stack of books, and we are both loving the series that I own the whole series. So whenever I finish a book, I give it to her. Does that make sense? The next book is The Dinner Lady Detectives, and I did read this as an audiobook. I do have it, but it's again one of the books I gave to my grandma. And this was such a cute book. This is basically about this old lesbian couple, but I didn't really catch on that they were a couple until literally the last 100 pages of the book, but that's besides the point. They work in the school as the dinner ladies, and basically one of the dinner ladies dies, and this is immediately first chapter, you get thrown into it, okay? And this is a cozy mystery, and then they kind of want to solve the crime and find out what happened to her. The ending, at first I was a bit is this where I want it to go? Is this gonna be boring? Is it gonna be boring who killed her, right? No, there was twists, there were turns. It was definitely interesting, and at the end it was just cute. And there are more books in the series because it is a series. I think there's 3 books now. At first I was maybe I shouldn't get it because I feel I'm just getting them for the sake of it just because I liked the first book, but this was such a cute little read. Again, I was a bit confused because it is 3rd person, and I was just a bit confused on who's the perspective, who are these people, how are they related to each other, because I at first thought they were just all dinner lady detectives, and then the dinner lady detectives, they were going home. I was do they live together? do all the dinner ladies live together? I gave the Dinner Lady Detectives 3.5 stars because it was really cute and it wasn't anything more than that, but it was definitely just like I had fun. The next book I also gave to my grandma, and that is Little Boy Blue. So this is, I think, the 5th book in the Helen Gray series, and I adore the Helen Gray series. I have all books in the series except for book 8, and I just saw that they're selling book 8 at the Works. So if they have that, then I literally have the entire series. And the fun thing is that I got majority of them at secondhand shops because that was kind of my goal. But I've never found the 8th one at a secondhand shop. So I read 4 still in December in my readathon as well. Because, okay, I read 3. 3 was a bit disappointing because it just wasn't what I was used to from the series. Like, it wasn't giving what I thought it would give. And I read 4. 4 was better, but I was still like, is this me, or is this just a book? Like, or is this like it's like the series just having a different take? Little Boy Blue, fucking masterpiece. I give this 4.75 because it didn't fully hit, like it didn't give me that 5-star feeling, but it was so freaking good. Like, this is the shit that I love. And then the ending, like literally the last 100 pages, I was in a chokehold. Like, literally so much was going on, and I was like literally like, no way, this cannot be possible. And it was like so all interconnected with like the rest of the series, and I literally like wanted to vomit everywhere because I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, not even because I was sick or it was gross, just because I was like, what? Yeah, I wrote down this felt so personal in terms of how close she got to the main character, and because everything is from like, not everything's from her point of view, so it's third person, but sometimes the chapters change perspectives, but then you get like the perspective of like the killer, which is fucking crazy, insane, super cool. And sometimes like different detectives, but most of the time it's her. I felt like you just got so much more closer and you start to understand her so much, and mind blown. Mind is blown. Mind is out of the window. After that, I read the only non-physical book I read this month, which I'm really proud of because that means I got 8 books of my physical TBR. And as you know, she's big. She's like 190. So 2024 is really about making a dent in that. I want to get it below 100. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I do. So then I read the novella that comes after Little Boy Blue. So there's 2 novellas in the series, and I just like downloaded it on my Kindle. There's one after book 5 and there's one after book 6. As far as I'm aware, there's no other ones. It was only like 54 pages or something. It was a flashback to her childhood, and it kind of like showed you why she became the woman she is now. Because we knew she had like a troubled childhood, but we never like got into the details and the specifics. So like, you don't need to read this at all to continue the series, because I didn't even really know that these were here until I looked at Goodreads. I love this series, so why wouldn't I want an extra 5 pages to eat up? Yeah, I gave this a 3-star because it's like a novella, and like, novellas are hard to read. The next book that I read is Magnolia Parks, and again, I have a reading vlog. So I ate this book up. I read this like so quickly. Like, I don't know what Jessa Hastings put into this book, but you read this so quickly. Like, in the beginning, I was like a bit like struggling, because I was reading slower than usual, but I think it's just because I had to get into her writing style, because there's a lot of like beautiful writing, and usually I'm used to like very quick, easy writing. But once I got into it, it was really easy and quick. I just need to kind of like decipher some things. Also because like they have a lot of like inside jokes and stuff, and you kind of have to just like catch on to, because you kind of just, you get thrown into the story. Like, after a while I just got that, and then from then on I was like racing through the actual book. Like, I felt like I was there with them, and everyone that said that this is like a British Gossip Girl, they were so right. I think if you liked Gossip Girl and you can accept that type of toxic relationship, you would like this. Like, I've seen a lot of people that didn't like this because they find it too toxic, but I was a hardcore Blair and Chuck stan. Still am to this day. You can put the 2 dots together. And what I wrote here is, this book was so irritating and addicting at the same time. BJ, I hated him for the half of the book and loved him for the other half. But I'm definitely going to continue the series. I'm so excited to get Daisy Hates and just like the rest of the series, because I'm like, so the next 3 books I'm going to be talking about are also the last 3 books I'm going to be talking about. And all 3 of those, I'm talking way too much, but all 3 of those are in the same video, which is the most recent video I posted, which was that I read the amount of time the amount of times I pick up my phone is the amount of pages I read. These 3 books are all in that video, so if you want like a more in-depth IRL reactions. The first book I read in that video was Heartless by Elsie Silver, and I'm so happy I finally continued the series. So I read Flawless, I think literally in like May, such a long time ago. I have all the books except for Hopeless, and they were just sitting on my shelves and I never picked them up. And the amount of times I almost picked this one up because I just heard this is people's favorite in the series, and I just was like, I know I have to pick this up. But I also, like, for a very long time I just wasn't into reading romance. I just like wasn't feeling it. And then I finally picked this up and I'm so glad I did. I don't think I've read a book quicker in my entire life. Like, this went so fucking speedy. Loved the couple, and I just loved everything about it, like from the start, because basically this single dad and he needs a nanny, and she isn't like equipped for this job at all. But she just gets along with his son so well, and this is like in like one of the first scenes, and they're just like, I don't know, climbing a tree together, and it's like the most adorable thing ever. And then from that moment on I knew I was gonna love this book. I gave it a 4.5 star because I did really love it. I just have a really hard time rating romance books 5 stars. In like 2022 I was handing out 5 stars like this. Okay, like everyone could have one. But then last year I gave a very small, like compared to how much I read, I gave this very small selection 5 stars. I wasn't necessarily expecting to give this a 5 star. Of course I was hoping it would be a 5 star. I definitely understand why everyone loved it and ate it up and is like raving about this book, because honestly, also the smut. Yeah, she was delish. I was so giddy all the time, but I was also like yell at the things that these people would be saying to each other. Like, what the fuck? There was no third act breakup. Like, not really. The next book that I read is the Windsor Knot. So I listened to this as an audiobook as well, and then I read the last couple of pages. I didn't love this. I was actually pretty disappointed. So I've had this book and the second book on my shelf for so long. They're one of my like earliest like books that are on like my very early TBR that I still haven't read. And I kept like kind of eyeing it, and I was like, maybe I should read it, and then I saw there was an audiobook because I tried to read it, I think in like October or November. I actually tried, and then after the first 7 pages I gave up because this writing was like, what is going on? Like, because it's from the fucking Queen's perspective, okay? But I was like, what is going on? I don't understand where they are or who this is or what is going on. So I was like, maybe an audiobook will help. And it did help. I think without an audiobook I would have been even more confused. But I was just a bit sad because this is about the Queen solving mysteries. Okay, and I was expecting kind of a lot more because it wasn't only from her perspective, there were other people's perspectives. But I would get confused for the majority of the book of whose perspective this is. And then when they told us kind of like who committed the crime, I was like, who? Because I was just like confused on like who exactly that was and why. Like, I knew, but not really, and I just was a bit confused and a bit like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep the second book or not, or if, like what I'm gonna do with that. Maybe I'll I don't, because I don't genuinely think I'm gonna pick it up, so I'm like debating if I should sell it on Vinted or give it to somebody else, or if I should just try. But I posted on Instagram that this was my least favorite book of January, and I got DMs of people like agreeing with me. Like a lot of, also on TikTok, like people were agreeing. The last book that I read in January was The Defense. I started this obviously in that one video, and I had like a bit of a troubled time reading it. I was like, yeah, you know, I want to like finish this in like 2 days, because obviously like I have like a goal to set for myself today, and then I would read like 30 pages of this. And I don't know what it was. I think I wasn't like, I actually do know what it was. I just wasn't in the mood for this, because also it's the first book in the series, and I also said this in that one video. I feel like you could definitely tell that this was the first book in the series, because I felt like they were like trying to set up the world a lot, and like him as a character, you got a lot of background information about his life and like the situation he is in. Not that that wasn't interesting, because it's like a very high stake thing, because basically his daughter gets kidnapped. I'll read the back because it's like this big. Eddie Flynn used to be a con artist, then he became a lawyer. It turned out the two weren't that different. He once vowed never to set foot in a courtroom again. Now he doesn't have a choice. Eddie's daughter has been kidnapped, and winning in a possible murder trial is the only way to save her, right? So it's very high stakes. But the thing is, if you do not care about the character yet in this situation, I was like a bit like, well, why? Like, of course it's like scary and nerve-wracking, but I was like, if I don't care, like, but I ended up caring. After I got to that 100-page point, I definitely was very into it, and a lot was happening. Constantly on the edge of my seat. Constantly about to yell. Okay, and the ending was very crazy as well, and it definitely felt like a movie. Like, if this becomes an adaptation, I would 100% watch it. I think this is like a movie that like my dad would adore. I'm definitely going to continue the series. I mean, I already have a majority of the rest of the series. I'm only missing 2 books. And I'm happy I finally started this because I feel like after this it's going to be a lot easier because I know I know the main character, I know his background. And I feel like you'll probably just be like thrown into the story a bit more easily than with this one. And of course, if you already care that it's already going to change the whole thing. I gave this a 4.25 because I did really enjoy it, but of course I had like a very hard time getting into it and I struggled picking it up, and I read like the last 250 pages like in one go. One for the video, also just because I wanted to finish it. And at some point I was of course reading it because I wanted to know what happened, but I don't know, I felt like it like a little bit forced, so that's why it wasn't like a higher rating, but still really high rating. Those were all the books I read in January. I'm really proud of how much I read this month, and I hope February will be just as good. But while I'm filming this, it's already the 6th. If you're still watching, comment this little emoji here, and I'll see you when I see you.